Oh yeah, nice and full screen. That's beautiful.
Yes, we're live. Okay, hey guys, welcome to Level Up session 64. This week we have a very special guest with us, and that's KARLA ORTIZ. Hi, KARLA.
Hi!
Hello.
What's up? What up?
You're still sharing your screen, so if you want to show your face to the guys. Oh, okay, there we go. Hi.
Hey.
No. Okay.
No, I will. It's my face. Hi, guys.
Hey. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us today, these next 2 hours. I think it's going to be a really great session. I'll just introduce a bit to the people first. So for those who don't know you, first of all, I'll share Wojtek's screen so you can see her magnificent work. But KARLA is a concept artist and illustrator, and she's got a lot of professional experience. She's worked for a lot of big companies like Ubisoft and ILM and Marvel, and she also does Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast. Lots of great stuff. You can see it on Wojtek's screen. Her illustrations are just amazing. And I'm sure most of you are here to see her and you know her and you have your questions. So yeah, I'll pass the voice to KARLA, and we can probably start a little bit about talking about you, about what you do, and then we can move on maybe to your past and how you got started in this industry.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure. All right. Yeah, do you guys want to ask questions? Sorry. I can just talk about myself because I do that all the time. It's cool.
Perfect. That's what.
Yeah. No, I mean, fun stuff. I guess I born on Halloween.
So we are starting really in the beginning. So
yeah,
maybe let me give you a question. Maybe that will be easier. So yeah. Why are you doing what you are doing? Why concept art? Why illustration mainly? Right? Because that's what you are focused on, right? And when exactly have you started? And yeah, go ahead.
That's not easier, Wojtek.
Sorry, I'm just trying.
Yeah.
Just trying my
best. No, it's fine. I do what I do because I can't do anything else, and I don't want to.
That's good.
Yeah, when I was younger, I had a cafeteria job. It was my first job ever, and I was just so awful that I got fired on the second day of training. Like, I mean, I was a freaking disaster. Sorry, I'm adjusting this. I was a freaking disaster, and like, went to my dad, and I'm all like, man, I'm so sad. Like I can't do this right. And he's like, well, you better like do a good job painting because he can't do anything else now. so yeah, no. I love painting. I love painting something. The act of grabbing a brush and making something happen out of that is really exciting to me. It's one of those things where it's just like concept art just happened because I mean I'm pretty nerdy. And I love video games and I love fantasy and I love all that stuff. But even if I was painting flowers, I'd still be happy. Even if I was painting, my cat in the back, I'd still be happy. By the way, that's my girl.
Oh, it's in the... God damn it. That's some skills right there.
Oh yeah.
Craft up there. Wow.
Yeah, she makes an appearance at any one of these that I do because it's just like she'll never leave the area where I'm at. So, but yeah. Hold on, let me just push.
And so your cat's name is Speedy Beatty?
Yes.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's stupid.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, someone very dear to me, one of my exes, like named her, and he's really crafty with names. So we looked at her one day, and he's like, "Oh, her name's Kitty Beatty." And we're like, "Okay, I don't know." But then she started responding to it, and it sucks.
Was your friend drunk when he came up with that?
No, he's just a funny guy.
He's just brilliant. He's just brilliant. Okay. All right, please continue. Sorry for the interruption.
No. She does that. But yeah, no. I guess it's just one of those things that like I love to paint. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So we know that you have prepared some early embarrassing work that you could share with us, and maybe then we can talk a little bit about when exactly these things happened and how come, and yeah. So feel free to share your screen, and you can start from there.
Yeah, this is a really bad idea. I mean, I'm
You have a lot of
like, my god damn it. Alright, okay, so I got some shit.
Every time.
Alright, this is really embarrassing, but let's go. So
let's make it full screen.
This is an
Buckle
old
your belts, boys.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done in 2005.
10 years ago.
Christ. 10 years ago. Yeah, I was 19. No, I was 19 back then. And this was like I think some of my first attempts at digital painting. That was like me trying to do a cool avatar. Oh god. Later on What?
The trees are really beautifully painted in that one.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, I was super into anime, and yeah, this is the kind of stuff I was doing. One day I'll go back home, and I'll get the really old stuff, you know, the stuff that you do when you were like 4 or 5. But I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
I think I did this in my days of concept art. I thought, hey, cool. This was like what was the date of this? Hold on, let me do this.
On the telephone.
Yeah, 2006. All this stuff is like 2006, 2005.
How did it happen? How did it happen that you actually discovered the tablet or digital paint? Because you've been painting and drawing before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was drawing and painting for a very long time. And I think digital just happened when I got my computer. I got my computer like back in, you know, I'm gonna switch off again for this because no, it's fine. Yeah, I got my computer back when I was like 12 or so, and just by looking around the internet, it was like, yay, fun internet! Whoa, what's this cool painting? Wait, it's not a medium? Oh shit, you know, and just kind of discovering it little by little. But also like even younger, like I would always do stuff in MS Paint just because like, oh, this is so cool, you know. And I was really into video games, and I wanted to find out how they made it. So by like trying to figure out how video games were made, I also found digital too. It's pretty nuts.
All right.
So there is that traditional part of you that loves traditional media. I saw all of your traditional sketches and Moleskine drawings and all that. These are really, really beautiful. I love them. So how have these two worlds meet, like digital and traditional? How exactly it started out? First you started drawing, or it was simultaneous, or then you switched to digital? How it does work?
Do you mean currently or back then?
Back then, like, okay. What was your path? Through traditional to digital, or digital and then?
Okay. So, all right. So this is really embarrassing, actually. I was a part of an online community, and we used to do like online role play.
Nice.
And I had my characters, and I would like. You know, I think that was the first time where I actually like sat down and like brought my pencils onto a digital realm and tried to discover ways of merging them both and linking them both. Just because I was like, oh, I'll do your sweet, you know, it's Dragon Ball. I'll do your sweet Dragon Ball character. And I would draw it on pencil, and then I remember I would actually like cut it out, like cut the outline out, and then like print, scan it, because I don't know why. I would scan it, and then I'd like go on to MS Paint, and I'd add like little effects, and it was all pixelated and awful.
Yeah.
And it was like, but it was the first time that I remember actually being like, oh wait, I can mix these both together. Later on, I even in my earlier work, I would always draw it, straight in pencil first, and then take it out, scan it, and then paint it on Photoshop. It's only been until recently where I switched completely, where it's like I don't need to scan anything. I could just start completely digitally. But it's funny because like once you go completely digital, then there's this thing where you forget what it's like to not have the undo button. Yeah. And that's where I go back onto the traditionals, and that's where I go to remember what the craft was like, and always learning something new every time I do it, strangely enough.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I remember. Yeah, go ahead, Darek.
Yeah, sorry. I remember one of your magic cards that you started actually with sketch on paper, right? And then just put the colors on it in Photoshop, and then just render it out in Photoshop further as well. So this was one of the process that you still kept going till last time, right? And you switched to digital wholly, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think when we say right now, that's kind of a not like, I think it's been like 5 years since I've been able to like do something completely digital. But in the initial like super sketchy like doodle stage, I still like to do it in pencil.
Nice.
It's like, but I can now build like something completely digital. I don't need to go to pencil to adjust. But there's something about ideation that feels better to me, to start in pencil or pen. I was going to show you guys something.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what it really is, but I have the feeling sometimes that if you even just do some work and do like a painting on the tablet, and we are doing something at studio, I see a lot of people still sketching out ideas on the paper, and I find it quite more natural, I guess. You have like more control, even if you don't have like an undo or a Control Z. You have still something that's more connected to you, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with constraint, right? Like the digital realm offers such a gigantic realm of possibilities. That like for ideas, it's like, oh, I have all these ideas that I'm just gonna grab at, and I'm gonna do this little doodle, and what if like I add this, or what if I do this, I don't like it, undo. When like you are doing it with pencil, you have the constraints of not having the endless editing and the endless possibility. I mean, you do, but it's still a sketch. I mean, it's still, if you mess up something, if it's a pen, you're screwed. If it's pencil, you erase it out and you have to redraw it. So maybe perhaps it's one of those things that allows you to kind of laser focus, your attention on just that aspect. Like usually when I doodle, it's just to get the idea or just to get the initial composition down. And when you focus your mind that way, it makes it much easier to just kind of like, tackle on a problem. Yeah,
that's a really good point. I just want to go back to your self-taught, to your basically school time. So are you self-taught, or did you go to an art school? I mean, I know the answer, but just for our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I went. Hold on, let me, because I can show you guys this. I went to the Safehouse. This was us back at our old studio.
That's great.
This is Karl, and he was pretty much the main teacher. Him alongside the Massive Black guys taught us an insane amount of things. We got a chance. I mean, I learned very traditionally at the Safehouse. It was mixed atelier of super traditional in the mornings, and then later in the afternoons we do more digital work. In that aspect, it's probably a very unique place.
For atelier, for sure.
For an atelier, definitely. We started out with doing basic cast, and this is my, this is one of my first casts that I did. the ear. And it starts out by doing like a very like accurate block in, as accurate as you can. Then you fill in the shadows, you know, to an even tone, and then from the shadows you roll towards the light, making sure you turn the form as best as you can. And at first it was just like, what is this? I'm just like doing, this is my second one. Right, and so it's very, very traditional stuff. Like this is the kind of stuff they would teach students back at like, you know, Renaissance times, you know, like really, really academic stuff. But then we would do like concept art projects in which like I would have to paint characters like that. And it was of learning, because like in the mornings I would do, you know, block-ins, like for example this one. This is an example of a block-in. And then later in the afternoon we would like sit around and either do like, you know, portrait paintings, or we would do our concept art projects. This is one of them for our concept art project. And it was always really interesting because like you would have to tackle both at the same time almost every day. So like every day, like in the morning, you'd be like, oh, well, I learned, you know, out of, you know, doing life drawing, I learned that if, you know, if, for example, like this angle goes kind of straighter, it reflects the ribcage a little bit better. And then like later in the night, you know, when I would do like my concept artwork or anything like that, I would actually apply that onto my work. So we had a very, like, you know, strong digital traditional training. I mean, even in our digital classes, this was done for James K's digital class, and he would tell us, do like a digital still life, you know, do it to the point where like you bust out a 1 pixel brush and you suddenly start rendering like all these little things. And yeah, you would do it and you'd be like, oh my god, this 1 pixel brush is ridiculous. But like it would give you a control that, you know, you first need to learn before you can, you know, jump into the more sketchier side of things.
Yeah. So you've been like exploring all kind of stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. No. And I just want to say, like, we would also do like master studies, which I tell everyone. Like this one is a portrait made by Van Dyck. Cornelius Van something. I'm reading the text at the bottom because I don't remember the name. But like, yeah, like I did this portrait in like oils in like 3 hours one afternoon, and you know, I learned so much from just doing it. So yeah, awesome. You know, sergeant studies all the time. Life drawing, bunch of life drawing, life painting. Awesome. Bridgman studies,
so,
you know, yeah.
How close, like the learning process and the applying process was really close. So studying and then applying, in your case at that Safehouse was really, really close. And how do you think how crucial it was, and how much different it could be if you could only do studies and then you would be let go? Like, do you think you would be as good as you are today, or you would have to put additional time into applying this knowledge you got in the mornings, or to your digital work? How do you think that would work? Yeah.
Could you what do you mean by that question? Like if I didn't have the Safehouse, how would I apply the same knowledge?
No, not exactly that, because I have attended the atelier you attended was in San Francisco, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I have attended Watts. You probably know the atelier, Watts atelier in Cinegas. Yeah. So the thing we did there was purely traditional, and I have learned tons, but I had to apply all of that after hours, and nobody taught me digital whatsoever. So that was really the hard part. So do you think you would? Yeah, maybe that's just a stupid question, I guess.
No.
No, where I'm heading is that. How important it is to apply the knowledge you get immediately, and how crucial it was for you to get this knowledge applied immediately after you got it. So yeah, that was a stupid question.
Okay. Well, no, that's not stupid at all. I mean, I'll try to answer it my best way. So the difficulty, I think, between bridging traditional and digital, at least for most people, is always two things. One, medium, because in order for you to feel comfortable with digital, you have to really know digital. And it's like anything, you know, like in order for you to be able to execute a painting in oils properly, you need to know oils properly. However, like digital is like a whole new monster, you know. It's like, oh, you don't just mix the colors and here's a little bit of medium and here's a brush and this is how you do it. No, it's like, and here's this filter and here's this like command and here's these actions and all these other stuff. So it's quite an undertaking for most people. I think the second one also comes from grabbing some, you know, traditional training bases itself heavily on painting what is right in front of you. Whereas, like, what we do is more on the imaginary side, right? Like, what we do is so much to do with, like, what we think is cool, what our peers think was cool, what is currently fashionable, what, you know, pushes us, you know, mythology, you know, fact, all these things. And everything is different. Like, no fine artist will be like, all right, listen, Jeremy, man, I want you to paint me a three-eyed monster. Go. And while he could do an amazing job, like it would take a while because it's one of those things, which is just like a completely different process.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I think that just kind of that just has to come with like practice. For me, how I bridged the two is that I would do a lot of research before, you know, I would tackle on any subject. Also, before I attended the atelier, I did a lot of, like, you know, drawing, you know, Bridgman studies, just to kind of get a feel of anatomy, where things were. You know, even it's important to know that, at least the basic, like, structure. And it's one of those things where it's like, once you know that, then you can kind of, you know, you don't need a model right in front of you. So I think what it is that you just kind of have to do the proper research. At least for me, that's what helped me. Like, if I had to do a three-eyed monster, then I'd get, like, different, like, you know, mutations, you know, people that are born really crazy, spiders. How is it that they're, like, eyes fit properly in their fucking head, you know, like all these things that make something feel really weird yet really real. You have to research. At least for me, that helped, if that makes sense.
I remember reading the tutorial on your website about the magic card you did.
Yeah.
The girl in the white dress, sitting on the. Yeah, that was amazing, and I remember you stressing really the research. Exactly, you did the research from movies, even colors, fashion design, everything. So yeah.
I mean,
pretty important.
And the way I like to think of it is like I do all that research because I want to be inspired, and I want to be informed. And that is how I pretty much, you know, that's how I use reference. I don't like to, and that might help too for those people that are like jumping between traditional and digital. Like, don't copy the reference exactly as only do like copies for like studies, you know, master study, you know, still life. That's when a copy is acceptable. But like when you do this kind of thing, you want to have like a variety of images that each of them contain an interesting, you know, bit of information. If you shoot your own reference, then that just means you have like 90% of the information there, but you don't even want to copy that exactly because the picture tends to flatten things. But by seeing reference that way, like let's say I'm painting like an armor and it's like overcast, but I don't have a perfect, you know, image of an overcast armor and the exact position that I needed. Well, then go online, find like an overcast night and see how the metal bounces around. Like, what are the properties of it? It's almost like you're a mixture of like scientist and painter. right? Like, if I see this armor bounce this way, this, the light bounces this way in this kind of like, setting, like overcast, then it would do it this way in my painting. And because, it's tied to the torso, it kind of goes around. It's going to, fall into shadow. It's so much, thought process that goes.
Information from it.
Yeah, and if you have the right sources, then that type of, painting something imaginary to feel real becomes a little bit easier because it's always grounded and based in reality.
Yeah, we went to a little bit more like understanding the stuff before actually painting, or even like analyzing stuff. Actually, why painting, which comes, I guess, to every medium that we have to use to create art. But what I found in your works appealing and somehow captivating is that you recreate the painterly style in your digital medium, which is not that everyone is doing, because some of the people that still paint or draw on paper or canvas, they still tend to do works that looks very photoshoppy, like with
digitally.
like really like pure digital, and what you capture and what's the results in your paintings are just the painterly. So how it comes to it's like it's natural for you that you somehow merge it, or you try to learn it how to do it in Photoshop in the same kind of way like you do it on paper, or how come it's for you?
I think it's just something that happened. Hold on, let me share.
Yeah,
this
I think you just applied the knowledge from traditional to digital immediately, because that's your artistical work.
But the thing is, there are some people that paint or draw really well on paper. They still sometimes get a very digitally looking pictures.
Maybe because they learn how to paint digitally after. I know.
I think
like
that's
two groups of people, I guess, that some of them still has the same kind of feeling, which is amazing, and the other one is like more like Photoshoppy, typical
It's
stuff.
a choice. I think it's a choice.
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, right? Like this some of my really old work, and I didn't know how to use like the tools that I know now. I think this is in like 2013 or something like that. No, 2013. No, like 2007. Sorry. And I didn't know the tools. I've always been fascinated by the more painterly approach. I think particularly from Sargent and all those people. Actually, I don't have anything I want to share with you guys right now.
But at work you are using like.
But yeah, no, I think it's like a mixture of things, right? I think it's like it's all the things that you guys just mentioned. It's both if someone's an incredible draftsman, sometimes it's choice, complete pure choice. Like, oh, I choose to paint this way because I like to paint this way. Some people really love to render. Some people really love that like very digitally look, and that's fine. Some people decide not to do that. In order to not do that, you do need the right tools. Some of my favorite brushes are actually here. Like some of my favorite brushes all have a certain kind of all have a certain kind of texture to it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not doing anything particularly amazing here. Most of these brushes are other people's because I'm a lazy shit. And very few ones I've made by myself, and even still. But yeah, like most of them, I think like I only have one completely just like untextured brush, and it's just a basic round for basic form and stuff. But even still, I've switched it a lot now, where I just kind of use more this kind of brush, more like straight up blocky, choppy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of like that look also comes with like the finish too, and it also comes with like, you know, being okay with letting certain things be unfinished. But as long as everything's in the right shape and value, then it's okay, you know. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry that we sometimes, even often, we mention that no brush makes difference. But sometimes, if you can achieve, if you find something that is really close to real material imitation brush or something like this, you know,
Oh yeah.
it's much more natural that you get that same result that you could or that you used to achieve on the canvas, which is pretty cool. Because it's
Yeah.
all about using this tool. Some of the people can use this tool in different way, and it won't look painterly. But if you
Yeah.
apply the knowledge from your traditional background, it's
I just want
I
to.
think
Yeah, go ahead.
and also really quick, and sorry to interrupt, but
No, no, no.
also really quick, it's also just kind of finding out like it took me a long time to figure out how to use Photoshop so that it feels like real media to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still learning too. Like it's still one of those things where it's like I'm still learning how to make it work for me. You know, something that I've learned particularly recently that I kind of just share with everybody because I think it's so cool. It's just the difference between or how to use flow and opacity.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are to think of flow and opacity, like let's say as in like real media, right? Like so opacity is how much of the pigment I have on the brush versus how much of a medium I have in a brush. So at like 100% it's pure pigment. At like 50% it's pigment and maybe a little bit of a glaze or maybe an oil or something that allows me to do, you know, glazes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one we know. However, flow is how loaded the brush is versus how dry it is. So at 100%, imagine that my oil brush is full of a ton of paint. It's wet, like you can't see the bristles of the brush. At
Mm-hmm.
a 50% or 40%, and this works great with like a textured brush, it's a dry brush now. And I'm only using it for its texture. So this is like at least for me, this really, at least for the last like year, this has been the one thing that I've kind of noticed that has really even helped push some of my work in that direction even further.
Mm.
I remember when I was trying to learn all that stuff, I have never encountered a good explanation for a flow feature in Photoshop. It was always like, yeah, you know, you kind of have to figure it out. You kind of have to get, you know, your head wrapped around that concept of flow in Photoshop. But suddenly you explained it now. It's a really grounded explanation. It's a really logical, yeah. So that's actually a cool mindset to put on top of these features in Photoshop. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, like I don't know what it was or how it was that like I came to it, but I was like, oh yeah, of course, you know, after much playing around.
Yeah, it looks logical. It looks like it's supposed to be that way. So maybe it was. Maybe that was my wrong sources whatsoever.
No.
There is a question I have regarding
Uh-huh.
your learning at the atelier. So for how long have you been there? Years, months?
I was at the atelier for a half. The full program actually lasted about 2 years and a half, but I had to leave because I was scouted by Paragon Studios NCSoft at the time. And they gave me money, and I was like, I must have it.
There you
are
go.
we having? Okay, there we go.
I have also a question that I found on our chat. It's about your standing desk. You are using the standing desk right now, or?
Yeah, I have a sit and standing desk. Here, look at this. Hold on. So, it's a big investment, but
Oh.
And the sitting desk at the same
yeah.
time.
So
you,
this.
yeah,
So
sorry, go ahead.
the reason why I have it is because early this year I injured my hands, and a lot of it had to do with one, working very very long hours without taking any break, and then two, just not having the right. I'm fairly short. So most desks I end up, working instead of like a proper
Oh, okay.
single, I end up working like this or like that, and that will kill your arm. So I saved money and got this desk because it's for someone that works nonstop. Like it's super necessary, and it's
Change your position. Yeah.
yeah. It's I think one of the most important things about keeping your overall like health is to just like make sure you're not doing the same positions all the time. It's one of the reasons why I work on both Cintiq and Wacom, so that I'm constantly switching between painting on the tablet versus like doing painting in a more traditional way.
Yeah, this is quite a good idea to just. Yeah, I know that it's really important because after like 5 or 6 hours of sitting in the same position, you are just
Oh no.
tired, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's like the death for your back and for your body. So
Yeah,
So
I actually if recommend to those to whoever can to get like a to work standing, because I for me it's like how I can keep my energy and how I can like work for long hours. Obviously you want to alternate sitting down because
Mhm.
standing all day isn't that great either. But like if you stand like 1 hour, sit for like 20 minutes, stand again, kind of alternate between the both. I think it's like I've definitely seen like my workflow improve just because I'm
Yeah.
not sitting all day, and also it fixes posture too. Because like when you're sitting all day, like it's so easy to like
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You try not to forget about it, but after a couple of minutes you are again like
Yeah.
in that position.
I mean, yeah, because you're also, you're painting. You're thinking about all those things. You're like, oh, I gotta like, make this head work. You're not gonna be thinking about your back.
Exactly. Yeah.
You only think about your back when you feel your back.
Mm.
So
So how do you keep yourself like in a maybe relaxed after work or between the work? Because we saw that you have like a timer for a breaks, right? So you
yes,
try to stand up, walk a little bit, maybe do I don't know some exercise.
yeah.
How it's come with for you?
So I have a bunch of different things. I mean, I work I work from home mostly. I mean, even though I'm with Marvel, I work remotely for them, which is really cool cool of them. But like, so I have a bunch of things to kind of like keep me moving around. One, I live in SF in San Francisco, so when my break is on, I go outside, I take a walk, say hi to, some of the coffee owners by my neighborhood, sit down, meet, go to the dog park. When I'm in a bit of a rush or a bit of a bind, I bought a mini trampoline. And I just like, go downstairs and just jump on the trampoline for a while. My cat looks at me all weird. Sometimes it's as simple as just kind of stretching,
Oh yeah, basically everything that makes your body in the move.
Yeah,
Better for
pretty
you.
much, pretty much. Uh, and I do work long hours for the most part, but this year I've been trying to improve that. Just because, like, you work. We're obsessive creatures. We can work for a very long time. At least I can work for a long time. Like most people are like, oh, I worked 8 hours. I'm so tired, and I'm like, well, I did like 14. and,
Tell me about it.
and while that is great, it's also can be very damaging if done for a long time without proper rest. So I've been trying to kind of like balance out my work to be like, okay, so I have 8 hours to straight 8 hours, and in those 8 hours I'm gonna super focus. I'm not gonna like get on Facebook, which can be hard sometimes. I'm not gonna like talk on chat. I'm just gonna paint in 8 hours and dedicate that time to solely focus. And it's helped a lot to kind of moderate and regulate like my intense hours. And you know,
Turn off distractions, yeah.
yeah, because I mean, you know, we're for the most part, like this is, you know, we're a new industry. Like we're a lot of us are a lot on, you know, on the younger side, and we're all entering the industry now. But I've talked to a lot of people that have been a part of the industry for a long time, and stories of people who injured themselves and suddenly can't paint or suddenly can't work anymore are very normal, actually. So like it's one of those things where it's just like we need to, you know, be conscious about how much time we're putting onto, you know, this love of ours. Because it's great now, we're young, you know, we can do it for a long time, but if we want to do it till, you know, we're 60.
Till forever, yeah.
Yeah.
You never actually know, because as you said, we are focused on painting, not our back or not our posture. That we want to create a good picture or just some concept, and not like we remember all the time about your position, which is posture, which is quite hard, because we are damaging ourselves in the same time. So.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to go back to finishing the atelier. So after 2 years, you have finished education. So how you have started to work in the industry? Have you started to freelance, or it was an in-house job, or you were working while learning at the atelier? So
yeah. I mean, so when I was at the atelier, I did a lot of funny, crazy little side jobs. I mean, I did anything I could to stay alive. It was mostly funded by my mother and my father, who, you know, and we weren't, you know, wealthy in any way. I think we were more in the lower middle class spectrum. So it was really hard for them. Like, they had to sacrifice a lot in order for me to go to school. So with knowing that they were sacrificing so much, I also had to, you know, sacrifice myself.
Yeah.
And so I did like any job that I could get. Like I would do like stupid, you know, like I think I did like a coloring for like yaoi books for a little bit, which is funny. It's fun. I colored beautiful men kissing, which was cool. I'm okay with that. And you know, I would do like a lot of like miniatures, miniature work for like, you know, small game companies. I do like, you know, book covers for like independent authors who didn't have a lot of budget but still wanted something. You know, I did a comic for, you know, people. I did anything I could in order to, you know, survive.
Besides school, right? Besides atelier. So that was a lot of work for you for quite a bit of time, right? I was about to ask you about the people and your family that they were supportive or not. You know, you have chosen to become an artist, so that's sometimes dividing. You know, but knowing that your family supported you to this point is just amazing, and also knowing that you have worked so hard to you know, being thankful for that. So that's just great.
I mean, I any interview I get, any chance I get to, like, I do, because like, you know, my parents are incredible. Like my mother, dad's a musician, my grandma's a writer, my aunt is a painter. So I come from a family of mostly, you know, a good chunk of us are artists.
Okay.
And it helped a lot, because they believed in me, and that was something that, you know, I think anybody is lucky to have. But then again, I think about what would have my life been had I not had that, and I still think I would have, you know, pursued art, because there's so many success stories of people who just wanted to do it. And because we have such a strong internet community, because we have so many resources, like I know so many peers that just did it and proved everybody wrong in their family, you know? like we're just like, oh, I thought people couldn't make money doing this. Oh shit! Well, look at that.
Let's try that. And 1 year later, they're working in the industry.
Yeah,
that's scary. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had guests like that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's just
we have quite
amount of
different
devotion and sacrifice that is just sometimes I don't know, beyond imagination. How hard these people have to work in order to become who they want to become. I mean.
Yeah, we had like a lot of different stories about people that just switched their expertise in like 30s or even later, and just pursued the art. But it's what you say. The thing that if you really believe in it, you can do it, even if you don't have like much support. It's like if you have like the support, it's like undescribable. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who are amazing. Like I know this, like, two of my friends. One of them like studied, you know, to be like a chemist or biologist. She was in the sciences, and she decided, you know what, screw this, I want to paint. And in like 2 to 3 years, she just studying the right things and doing the right things. She's like working. The same with another friend. I had a friend who like jumped from like HR, and this happened in 2 years. It was crazy. She jumped from HR and then just did a bunch of studies every day. Like she just worked her ass off, and now today she. And it's one of those things where it's just like, if it's something that you want to do, and if it's something that you're really passionate about, like, it's just a matter of studying the right things and being determined and not get discouraged. And like, it's amazing where you can end up in like, you know, 2, 3, 4 years. It's insane.
So you were talking about getting discouraged just a moment ago. So I was about to ask you, do you experience art blocks, and how do you deal with them if you do experience those, or you don't have time? Yeah, it might be.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I don't have time, but I do experience them.
Yeah,
and that sucks, because you're like,
yeah,
you know, we're all emotional creatures. We all get discouraged. I think it's a part of who we are. It's a part of our being. You know, it's funny because like the discovery of everybody and every artist that I know and I love gets discouraged was actually the thing that when I was a student made me feel much more comfortable about being an artist. Because like I would get these blocks where it's just like, how did this amazing painter did this? Like, how did they do that? You know, like, holy shit, how can someone paint that way? That should not sometimes, and I just be like, oh god, this is not working out. This is awful. But then I'd like talk to some of my friends, and I'd hear people that I really admire talking, and how, you know, oh, I screwed up this painting, or I'm not doing too good lately, or I think I'm losing my go, you know, my feeling of things. And it's one of those things where it's just like, wow, that really opened my eyes that we all feel this way at some point, because it's a creative endeavor that is so closely tied to, you know, our minds, to how we perceive the world, that to have any sort of failure feels like we ourselves are a failure. But that's the thing that, like, when I felt that way, it just held me back. When I realized that everybody feels this way, then I think, oh, it's just an artist thing. Okay, then let me take a moment. Let me take a breathing. I'm just going to take a deep breath, step back.
It's normal.
And
it's normal.
Yeah. I'm going to step back, and I'm just going to look at my painting and see how can I make it better. When I'm suffering an intense art block, when I'm, you know, not as sharp as I can be, I take 5 minutes. You know, sometimes it's exhaustion. Sometimes I need to just take 5 minutes. Sometimes I need to take a nap. Sometimes, you know, when it's really bad or when I'm stuck by something, I do a master study. Like I was painting for one of my projects, I was painting water, and I was like, oh my god, water is so how? And I did a Anders Zorn study of one of his watercolors. So it made a lot more sense after.
Yeah, so basically taking a break and focus on something else for a while, and then going back to actual.
Detaching yourself emotionally from the work you're creating. Basically.
Yeah, I think that. Whoa, sorry. I think that a lot of people just take it that art blocks maybe not too serious, but they are getting depressed by them, I guess. And I met a lot of people that are just struggling with it. But basically, in the end, you just have to get used to it. You are not a machine. You are only the personality, and we are only human that creates like the world and explore the ideas all the time. So we can't just keep going without any breaks, right?
From my experience, like experiencing art block is just being afraid of fail. So as soon as I get myself to fail, even in the small things, I suddenly discover that, hey, nothing happens. Your head is still, like, you're not dying. You're healthy. You're making bad drawings, yes, but that's not the end of your life. You can improve them. So
sometimes one of the best things to do is, like, when I'm on a crazy deadline, or when I'm doing a project that is, a big deal or whatever, to me, there's a lot riding on a painting being good. It's easy to get really discouraged. At least, like, I get really nervous. So the way to do it is to just kind of forget that you have that deadline. Forget that you have that very important painting, and just remember why it is that you love to do what you do. I try and fall in love with an aspect of my painting. Is it, am I rendering the cloth? I really love to render cloth. I'm going to focus on how the best I can render cloth, and I'm not putting myself in a position or the mindset cloth base that'll blow all other cloths, out of the water because it has to be the best, like, skirt ever, No, it's more like, what's the flow, what's the fold doing? It's more about keeping a healthy dose of curiosity and, problem solving the whole way through, because that's just what painting is. It's just problem solving. So yeah, if you can just kind of remove yourself from that emotional failing monster that is constantly, like, whispering in your ear, then, like, once you, like, kick its ass and tell it to get the fuck out, like, it's a lot easier to just step back and be like, it's just a painting, and I can always make it better. And if I messed up, I can always study and find and figure out ways, like a scientist or like Sherlock Holmes. How can I make this better? Where are the clues to making this painting much better?
Yeah, there's a method behind it, and I can find my path through it. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And right now we are getting close to the 1 hour, which is a half-hour session. And I know you have prepared some of the steps and insight into insight into your workflow. So that would be great. Oh God, that's like a nice.
Yeah. By desk.
I know, this is like my work desk gets all crazy. Yeah, no, definitely. So I have some stuff I want to share with you guys. Let me first share the screen.
Launch music, yeah.
So, let me just make change some pics, because I may do a painting or not. It just depends how I feel. Sorry about this. So I have, like, the steps to, let me reorganize this. I thought I did organize it, but I didn't. I'm sorry, guys.
It's alright. It's alright. It's okay.
I'm sorry. So I have the steps to, this painting. This was a painting I did for Tor Books. It's called The Walking Stick Forest. And how this started was just I got a little blurb, a story of this lady, or that, the story is a horror story. It goes a lot longer, but this particular moment is one of the main characters. She goes onto the woods, and what she doesn't know is that the woods are alive. It's just like, blackthorn trees that are just kind of dead and have like little thorns everywhere. And as she walks deep into the forest, the roots become alive and suddenly entangle her in a way where she knows that these aren't regular trees. If she moves forward, if she moves back, the roots will take her, will puncture her skin, will rip her clothes,
super creepy.
yeah, it will be very painful. So the challenge was trying to find a thing that gave you a feeling of constricted, of being, unable to move. So I usually start out with most of these. I usually start out with very basic, simple, doodles. Like, where there's no anatomy, there's no nothing. It's just there for me to think about where I'm going next, or what my
like
painting.
An impression. Yeah.
Exactly. I do this before I research anything. I do this before even going online and finding, references. And if you guys will give me just 1 second, I'm gonna go look through my old stuff really quick. I'm gonna stop sharing because I want to show you guys the references I found for this. I think the research stage is very important. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because I don't know if there's some NDA stuff in there.
Take your time.
And I don't want to be like, what's up? Hey, look at that, you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where is it here? Hold on. Here it is. Yay, I found it. Yay, hooray! Okay, let me go really quick. Where's my sharing the screen?
You're such a political person.
There you go.
I'm a secret singer. No. So after the stage, then I would go on to the inspiration stage. Where I go online, where I go look at movies, where I just pretty much just go all these places online. And why is this not sharing? Oh, there we go. Because it's tiny. And I just go look at all these images that kind of have that feeling, that kind of have the mood that I'm looking for. I wanted something like she's falling, but it's graceful, almost like she's underwater. So I looked at a lot of imagery of people underwater, things that feel constricted, things that feel, beautiful yet awful. Also look at the different kinds of trees. Here's where the research part comes in. What kind of thorns do the trees have? What kind of things do they look like? Just all these things. Oh, that was one of old shoot. This is actually Nadia Moghilev. She posts for me every once in a while, and I like one of these poses that she took. This is a screen from Gladiator. And I really love the color scheme, that I look at a lot of cinematic films in order to get a feeling for what kind of colors I can have, even more so. And I love, and I get so inspired by them. It's just beautiful. I recommend everybody to watch films and to be inspired by them. That's where I get most of my. It's through there, through film, you get so many amazing things because you have the best of the best, coming together to create a moving image.
Exactly.
Color harmony. I learned color harmony from film. Look at The Aviator and all their amazing color harmonies. Here, I'll even take a quick look because that to me nothing represents color harmony. And sorry to deviate from my process, but it truly
right.
it truly is. This is all my a bunch of stuff that I've gotten online. Where the heck is here? Here we could just do flying daggers. Looking at the things that they wear and how the colors that they wear are replicated throughout like the entire set. Like everything is just fantastically beautiful. Hero is a great example of that, you know. Like all these amazing screens, like just color harmony in your face. Although this is a little bit more monochromatic, but so like once I get to this point, right, where I'm like, okay, this is what I want. This is definitely like the right way. I've gathered all my references. I gathered all my inspirations. Then I go into like, you know, a more, what I like to call a detailed sketch. And this is what I pretty much give the art directors. You know, something that is like definitely further away from like this stage, but you know, in this stage I have my, you know, my lights, my color, my pretty much everything.
Everything is blocked,
Everything is blocked in. I love to do it this way because I always kind of I have to approach what the final will look like from a very early stage. And then that means that like as I go into render mode, as long as I keep the basic structure of everything, you know, I'll be sure to have something that I'm proud, you know, that's strong. There won't be any surprises. I think like the biggest troubles I've ever had while painting always happened because I didn't think something through early enough. Because you know, I left something at the last minute and suddenly I'm like, oh well, I'll figure this area out later. And then like, you know, later I'm rendering, later I'm dealing with form, light, shadow, you know, all these things. Yeah, that kind of clogs up everything, and then it just ends up being a mess. So I really like to kind of establish this, you know, just very early on. And then afterwards, I like to have like, you know, a fairly more accurate drawing. Well, this drawing in particular isn't as good, I would say, as you know, as I'd like it. Like I think I spent like maybe 20 minutes on this drawing. If I a lot more on a drawing, you know, if I have the time, I'll spend like 2 to 3 hours on one drawing to really kind of truly figure everything out. And then once the drawing's done, then I begin, you know, the road to render, where I start, you know, kind of like with the focal point, which in this case is this area of the face, you know, like I really wanted this to be strong. And then, like, you know, you kind of keep going. And I did a lot of changes, and that's something I can do in a digital medium that I can't do in a more traditional form. Like in the traditional form, I do a lot of studies. If it's like in oils, I will do a small preliminary study of what I'm about to do. If it's pencils, I'll do like, you know, I'll just make sure that everything, you know, is ready, because I can't do what you know, big changes to a painting once it's done. But in digital, you can. And that's something that, like, if something isn't working for you, oh, sorry, well, whoops, sorry. if something isn't working for you, you know, you can change it. For me, I think the face wasn't feeling quite right. I wanted it to be a lot more delicate. I wanted it to be a lot more flowy. So I narrowed her features a lot more. I you know, adjusted the angle of her neck to show even more, you know, discomfort. And then I just kind of kept going, pretty much just rendering and taking it to the final that it is.
Yeah, the colors look really similar to the reference you had from the Gladiator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing how much you can borrow from a really good color palette from a movie screen cap, and that
definitely.
Can guide you throughout the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, and not just like movies, like from life too. Like I think like the reason why like that screen capture resonated so well to me is because I've been to the woods at this, you know, time of night, you know, when it's like kind of dark, you know, on a full moon, and you know you can smell the moss and you can like really get a feel for it, you know. You can be inspired by so many things, you know, movies, fashion, photography, your own life. You know,
Yeah, basically everything that can give you some initial idea or just to help you explore your ideas and support what you have in your mind, right?
exactly, exactly. And again, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, like I think people stay limited to, oh well, I just want to do this completely on my own, and that's fine. But the thing is that when they say I'm gonna do this completely on my own, they don't go out. They
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
like,
They
they
don't
don't
explore. Don't explore.
they don't do like, you know, they don't do study.
We have
This is
close your eyes.
yeah, close your eyes.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I'm working on right now. And yeah, it's the
Great.
same progress. It's the same process. This is for Tor Books. Hi, Irene. And it's the same process, you know. I'm gonna stop sharing really quick so I can um,
Okay, there's a little bit of a cut every time, every 2 minutes. I don't know if
Like
you
a
are
small,
experiencing it
like a
as well.
small two
Yeah,
or
a small
second
cut.
up. Yeah, people notice it as well, and so
really?
it
Oh,
happens.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No worries.
No, if you.
Okay, so guys,
Sorry.
if you have any questions for Carla, please type them into the chat. We'll start from there. And yeah, Carla, you still have something to show us, right? So
Yeah.
there you go, studies.
Yeah, like for those of you that want to do it completely from your own, you know, still do studies. Like I did this last year. It was like a morning while I was at Industrial Light and Magic, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do a study of, you know, of Sorn, and I think I only gave myself like 25 to 30 minutes to do it. This one was like 10 minutes, but it just kind of goes to show that like you gotta do studies all the time.
Lovely.
You know, if you can, because I do, like I love doing, you know, I love like taking pictures and just kind of like doing my own interpretation of them and trying to figure out what is it about that particular color that I love, what is it about that picture that feels right. And God, I do it all the time, all the time. And just really quickly, like here are some, you know, just to kind of again showcase like the process. Like this is one thumbnail, and this is just the kind of the sketch that I gave to Irene at the time, and this is pretty much like the finals. So I try to stay very close to, you know, finals. I try to stay very close to like
to the sketch you did.
Yeah.
You have like the whole process sorted out before, so you don't need to worry about the big changes that influence your time and.
Exactly. So that's one painting, and then these are the sketches I did for him. You know, like it's very, very just super similar. I think like the only thing that they said was like, yeah, this is for Magic the Gathering.
Are you playing it?
Oh, have I played? Oh, yeah. Well, I used to play Magic the Gathering a lot when I was, you know, in school. But not anymore. I've kind of fallen from the wayside onto, you know, Magic the Gathering.
All right.
But I enjoy painting it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing how your workflow works exactly. That's really, really inspiring. I love how you compile two worlds together, like how organic you work and how true to the traditional medium you stay inside a digital medium. That's one of the hardest things ever, I think, to remain this, you know, traditional feeling inside of your work.
Well, I think also something that kind of helps too is that I like to, you know, and I know that like there is a not big debate, but there's always like, you know, people ask, you know, should I photo bash in my pictures or not. And I avoid it. I don't photo bash in my pictures. I try, because to me that kind of kills that, very like, flowy thing. Now, particularly in film or any other job that requires you to be fast, because sometimes you get deadlines where it's like, oh, I have 1 hour and you have to showcase a bunch of stuff. Holy shit,
Yeah.
oh my god, you have to just kind of go at it. And then, yeah, please, put pictures, as many as you can, just put them all in there. But for things that are a little bit more, have more time, have more room to breathe, I like to not use pictures because it allows me to paint everything, and it allows me to constantly learn and to be master of my painting entirely. That mixed in with, studies of, master painters, the right brushes and the right knowledge of, using my digital medium and using traditional medium as often as you can. At least in my opinion, that's how I'm able to do that, and that's how I hope, if anybody wants to do it, they can.
Yeah, without using photos, you have a great control over every aspect of your painting, and that's a really that makes a big difference, both in design and both in painterly quality of your artwork. Totally, I totally agree. It's a great pleasure to work only from your head and from reference, and not using any external, so to speak, visuals in your work, and it can really show your true visual language, I would say. Like, it can really showcase how you think visually, and after some time, if you're not using photos inside of your work, but you're trying to stick to what your hand can do, suddenly your style emerges. Because what I find in photobashed work, so to speak, it's all really similar. It kind of melts together. It's hard to tell which artist did what if it's photobashed, because it's not just photobashed, it's also a skill, right? But it's less personal, I would say. It has less texture to it. Texture, what I mean by that, it's not visual noise, but the character, the quality of the artist that created it. Yeah.
I think so. For a total tool if you're at a job that requires it. But while you're studying, while you're a student, like, if you just jump in and do that right away, like, I think that's kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because you don't allow yourself room to be able to grow and learn as an artist. And that's, you're right. Like, the number one thing that defines us and the number one thing that helps us, and the reason why people love someone's work is because it's their work. Your voice is the number one thing that will define you as an artist. Like, as long as your technique is solid, and as long as, like, because technique is like, everybody can have technique. Technique is like kung fu. You train long enough, you'll be able to, do sweet moves. But not everybody sees the world the same way you do, or the same way I do, or the same way that anybody here would do. And that unique perspective of what life is and what our surroundings are, that's what makes art exciting. And that's what makes someone be like, oh, well, you're this artist and you're that artist, and I can tell them from their work just by looking at it, because that's just them. And if you jump ahead of yourself before you've had the chance to discover who you are, I think that can be very damaging to a student.
Awesome. So when we are in the technical part of the method or process, does it happen for you that you need to use 3D in your work? I mean, mainly because we saw that you work for movies, like for Industrial Magic company. So is it happen that you need to use it, or some of the clients require that from you, or you can just?
While I have used 3D very little in the past, I think it was mostly just for, like, environments that I didn't have time, and I only know how to kind of use Google SketchUp. I learned a little bit how to use ZBrush, but I don't use them in my workflow at all.
I think you have a great rendering engine in your head, and you don't need any of that 3D software stuff.
Yeah, but it's well, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like because I don't know it very well, I found it to just slow me down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
And yeah, and it's one of those things that like I also don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I enjoyed it, then I would like jump in. I totally use it because I think it's like an amazing tool. But I don't. So I try to just figure it out with, perspective grids and like, thinking where my lighting is coming
If it's
from.
not useful, then
yeah, it's also a matter of personal choice, I guess. If you want to acquire it, or you have like a more freedom, you can just paint.
Yeah, no, exactly. So what I do use a lot is my kneaded eraser, because like if I'm doing like a monster or something really weird and I need to like adjust, like I'll just like shape it in the right way, and then boom, instant kneaded eraser. Like instant little sculpture of what I need. That I do use. So.
Oh, very cool.
There is a lot of questions of same type of question repeating itself over and over. Any video tuts planned, Karla? Any video tutorials planned in the future for your fans and audience?
There
you go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to eventually. I think at this time, number one, I'm really busy. And number two, I enjoy giving workshops and I enjoy doing things like this. And I feel like if it's, if it's available online, why would people go? I don't know. But I've definitely thought about it, and I definitely want to, particularly in the Gumroad area.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just kind of just trying to think of different ways to present the information. I have things that I want to do in the future that I think will be really exciting if they happen. And if they don't happen, then I'll just do a video myself. But yeah, I
definitely have.
So there are the plans.
Audience for that. So there's a lot of people awaiting that. For now, we have to be happy for this level up session, guys. So that's the thing you get now, and I think it's really awesome.
Eventually, it'll
people love you dancing right now.
Oh, dude, you guys should see me like.
And they are wondering if you have like some music in the background in your headphones as well.
Oh no! I get excited. I can't stop, man. Like once
Awesome.
and I think that like coffee's hitting me now, so I'm just like,
Oh,
yeah.
It's early morning at your place, right? It's at 10
11 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not early, but yeah, still morning.
Awesome. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I listen to music when I'm working. I'm dancing. Like I've done situations where it's like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but like I'm literally like,
You're a little bit like a DJ right now.
In the zone. Yeah, there's a question from Bashar. Is this the dance of your people? Is this what I need to do to become good?
Yes.
There you go, Bashar. Yes. Just dance a little.
The dance of my people.
Exactly. But I just want to make a point. I think it's the quality you want to have, like being positive and being pumped and being like excited about life. Like where do you think you have it from? Like is it just there, or you got like charged somewhere? I don't know.
I'm Yes, I go. There's a charger in the back. I just kind of like.
There you go. That's what I thought.
No. I'm so very, very lucky to do what I love for a living. Like it's amazing. Like, I get excited talking about art. I get excited talking to you guys. I get excited painting. And I've always also been kind of a goofier person. Like, I giggle all the time. Like, people are always like, "Oh, you giggle a lot in your interviews." I'm like, "Yeah, but I giggle a lot in real life. Like, I can't like fix it." I also drink a ton of coffee, so that might be something. I don't know, but it's one of those things where it's just like, to be able to paint, to be able to do it, it's so amazing. That's like, how could you not?
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we love that. We love that kind of guest to have on
Attitude,
our
yeah.
sessions. So sometimes we just tend to ask ourselves the questions. We are really wondering what's the type of character that the guest will be.
Yeah, exactly, because
And
you know
now,
people's work,
yeah,
you
and
know
now
people's
you
work,
just
and
appear and like the whole session is super like light and a lot of fun and a lot of smile and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to listen to music right now then.
You gotta have fun. No, you do. You gotta have fun. Like I I make sure to take time and go out and see friends. I love gatherings. I love video games. I get excited about all these things, and it just brings the freshness to painting, and it makes for a more interesting life.
yeah, exactly. So having peers around that are doing what you are doing maybe helps.
Yes, that helps a lot. I mean, the best part about the day and age that we live in right now is that, like, everybody is connected. So, like, we're talking and we're very far away right now. You guys are, like, in Europe, and I'm over here in San Francisco, and maybe, like, 30 years ago, something like this might have not been entirely possible, at least not very easy, as it is today. So,
yeah, definitely.
So it's easy to connect to people that are passionate about what you do, and that will motivate you to do it further. I'm very lucky that I live in San Francisco, because San Francisco has an amazing artist community, and we all meet up and we all go to bars all the time, and
yeah,
be the
California
alcohol.
is a good place to be if you are working in the industry. That's a good place to be, I think.
It really is.
People, yeah.
It's fantastic. Like it having people close, though, it does help. So, like, if anybody wants to, sometimes we do have to move for the things that we love. Like, I had to leave my island in order to pursue this career. But today I'm, in San Francisco, and my friends, inspire me to be better. They, like, I go to lunch with them, and we talk art, we talk shop, or it's like, hey, guys, what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on this, or, oh, I'm working on this thing, but I can't show you, but it's cool. And they get, why is it cool? Because it's this cool and that cool, and everybody's like, like, and we get excited, and we there's gallery shows happening. It's good thing to be a part of a community if you can do it, like, even if that means, like, back in Florida, like, I had like 2 or 3 friends that were equally passionate, and together we, like, pushed ourselves to be better, and I think artists need that. I think we do. Some of us are very solitary, which is fine. Nothing wrong with it. But I think most of us do crave for other artists every once in a while, at least in order to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. To have somebody to point into some kind of a direction, or point out what's the what your problem is with what you're doing, or direct a little bit. There's one question that I wanted to ask you. What advice would you give to your 19 years old you? That's a question from Nicola.
What advice?
You're just starting out, right? You like what the industry is promising, but yeah.
I would tell, if I went back in time, I would tell my 19-year-old self what we were talking about earlier, that everybody everybody has moments of insecurities, and sometimes you're going to feel like you can't do it. And when that happens, you just have to kick that little voice, that monster, that asshole out of your head, and just love what you do and really open up yourself to learning. Back when I was 19, around the 19 to 20 age, was when I was going through probably one of my toughest times, because there was so much that I have found through the internet, and I felt so useless in front of it because I didn't think I would be able to do it, or I didn't think I could do it. And I was very close to actually quitting art because I felt like I couldn't do it. And the only reason why I didn't is because my fantastic father, came to me and was like, "Hey, listen, he's a musician, and he's like, you're really not an artist unless you feel like quitting at least once. So you're on the cusp of quitting. Hey, you just reached that threshold. Congratulations, you're now a full-fledged artist." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I would also have told her to do more master studies.
Yeah.
Because man, master studies and still lives, they'll help in ways that just by doing it, you'll feel yourself. And you'll be like, that's how you capture that.
So you can recommend them doing it all the time?
Oh, all the time. No, I still do them. Whenever I have a moment. Go to museums. For those that are in Europe, go to Prague and look at the Slav epic. Do a study of Alphonse Mucha. It's amazing stuff. Or just go to Europe.
And then paint the castles for another year.
Yeah, exactly. And then just wow, see yourself. If you try to make each painting better than the last, and if you're very open to your failures and what is that you went wrong and how it is to improve it the next time, then all is good. Yeah. That's the way to improve. Those are, I guess, the things I would tell my 19-year-old self.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, there's another question that I see. That's a good one. Are there any particular books, documentaries, or other sources of information you can recommend for self-taught people, or in general?
Yes. All right. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Everybody freeze.
There you go. We're going to explore KARLA's studio. A secret book. The book of knowledge.
I'm saying something exciting.
All right.
The books of knowledge.
So
there
straight
you go.
up. Creative illustration.
Yeah.
By Andrew Loomis. I got this book when I was 1920. I got a first edition by coincidence. One of my friend's mother worked at a library. They were getting rid of books, and she's like, "Here, I thought you'd like this." And it was the first edition, creative illustration. But now they reprinted it, so it's much easier for people to have. And this book is amazing. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know in order to paint a good picture, especially a good illustration. There's a lot of things about this book that I didn't quite understand when I first read it that I understand now, and it solidifies my understanding of things. Okay, now I get what he's saying. So this book is great through pretty much my entire career. I've used this book. The next one is Alla Prima by Richard Smith. This book is insane.
That's the second edition, right?
Yeah, we recommended those books many times, but I will still post.
Yeah, it's not just an incredible book made by an incredible person. It also talks a lot about philosophy, about how to prepare yourself mentally for a good painting session, how to leave away the blocks. it's one of my favorite books, and I'm still reading it, and I'm still doing, particularly in the oils section. I'm gonna start doing the exercises in there for it. I think those are like the best ones. Oh, and get like sweet books, art books, things that like will motivate you. Like I keep these in like my library right next to me, and I look at them often.
Can always open it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like something about like
you cannot get like really good copies online. So like really good reproductions, they're not available online. So these books are almost necessary in order to discover, a good copies of paintings. So if you don't have a chance to visit the gallery.
Exactly. I even have like the ticket of like the actual show that happened in San Francisco.
Oh, very good.
So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, go to museums, like buy, anything that Loomis does. Like he has like drawing for all it's worth. It's amazing. He has like drawing heads. Creative illustration is it's the more complicated of all of them, but it's still like so good, such good knowledge in there. For anatomy, definitely Bridgman. I learned pretty much all my anatomy from Bridgman. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about Bridgman, don't you think you have to know how to study Bridgman in order to learn from him? Because at the first time when I just was looking through the drawings and the text, I felt a little bit intimidated by the... I don't know, I couldn't read this. I couldn't read the drawing well. I couldn't understand what he's doing. I mean, after... somebody showed me, the instructor showed me, hey, look, this means that, this means that, this is how he described form. And suddenly I thought, oh God, this is so useful. He simplifies everything. He uses like this and that. But before that, I felt like Bridgman wasn't my type of guy. But suddenly he became one. And yeah, I just wanted to point it out that Bridgman.
No. It's always kind of, it always feels like really weird. Like I had this. I had that same problem with Hogarth, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Hogarth is the one with the very balloony anatomy.
Yeah.
And I tried, but I just could not figure out what he was saying. And then when I switched to Bridgman, like I guess after trying to figure out Hogarth out for so long, like Bridgman just like, oh, okay, I got it. You know what's a really great book that I actually had? I don't have with me. But it's, I think, Drawing the Marvel Way, or Drawing Superheroes the Marvel Way. Because that book, that one I had as a kid, and I studied that one a lot when I was a kid. It simplified everything so that you could draw superheroes like the very Marvel way. But yeah, that and I used to draw a lot of anime when I was a kid, so that. I guess that helped with the anatomy, but in terms of book, yeah. Like.
Have you heard about Michael Hampton, Figure Drawing, Design and Invention? Have you heard about this book?
No.
No. Okay. So that was great. So guys, if you are not finding Bridgman really good for you, try Michael Hampton. It's just what I found really intuitive and showing you step by step how to simplify specific muscles and how to make them work, and it teaches you how to invent on top of your anatomy knowledge. That's really good. Yeah, so okay.
Some of the people already started asking, when is your art book coming out?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Give us tutorials, Karla. Give us art books. That's a great fan base you have.
I mean, yeah, sure. Not anytime soon, for sure. I got some things planned on the works. Definitely, I have a bunch of gallery shows this year, and I have other projects on the side that I'm working on. But it's just one of those things where it's just like everything's just gonna take a while. I'm really busy doing stuff for Marvel right now, so like yeah. Sorry guys.
Nice.
I'll be in art books coming soon. So just soonish, like 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Awesome. What do you think is the best way to get mileage? Should I just practice, or should I use a specific training? Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay. I'm not a big fan of practicing just for practicing's sake, because I feel like when you just practicing and you're not sure what you're practicing about, that's an easy way to kind of replicate and repeat errors. Versus if you are practicing, but based on like a solid, study of education, like reading any one of these books, doing master studies, still lives, tons of life drawing from life. If you do mix those things with the mileage, that's how you improve. That's how you get better. But drawing because you like to draw all the time and you don't, it's I've said this a lot in the past, but it really is such a good analogy because it's like just like eating, right? Like let's say that you're drawing because I like to draw, and that's great. It's like a hamburger, so good. Like yeah, hamburger, but like doing the studies, that's your vegetables, that's your fruits, that's the things that the body needs in order to be able to move forward and in order to not like die from like too many hamburgers. So think about the way you approach learning painting, the same way you would treat your body, or the same way you would when you're exercising too. You don't just like go to the gym and grab all the machines and just go like, yeah, you'll hurt yourself. You learn how to use these things, and little by little, like once you learn the basics, that's how you get you'll be able to just kind of get more mileage and learn more and improve. Yeah. That's what I would suggest.
So another thing I tend to ask almost every guest is this topic of design sense, because you can learn how to make a straight line, you can learn how to place your muscles, how form reacts to light and all that, but design sense is that kind of thing. It's sometimes hard to teach. And what do you think makes a good design, and how you can train your sense for it?
That's a really good question. Because, I think design sense is a mixture of a couple things, right? It's it's good composition within the design.
Yeah.
So you will have here. I'm gonna share the screen really quickly because I think the best way to describe this is to showcase something really quick. But I need to look at where I'm going. Where the fuck is it? Just had it. Sorry. All right. Okay. Here goes. So design sense for me, right? I think it showcases really well in things like concept art, because in concept art you can only work with what you have, just a character. Then will this work? Okay, this isn't. I don't think this is a very good design. Hold on, give me just 1 second, because we're gonna go on a trip to my website.
Oh,
a magical trip. Come along, come with me to my crappy artist website.
come on.
Here, it was the only thing that extended the song. Like it's hard to make things feel right. Like come on, man.
You are really a secret singer as well, as you said.
Okay, no, I'm an awful singer. Okay, so this particular one, I think for me works because let me just do the following. Ha.
There you go.
Boom. What's up? Oh no, fuck.
You lost it again.
Sorry guys. I can do it, I promise. Okay. So design is a mixture of a couple of things. One, it's a lot of research, right? Like I looked at so many motorcycles for this particular image. You know, looking at the way like the mech feels, looking at the shapes it makes. Design is a mixture of shapes, but all, you know, finding accurate shapes that describe the things that you want, but also using the contours, the own contours and characters of the body, and using, you know, sometimes repeating shapes and alternate, you know,
Yeah.
repeating shapes, things that are repeating but are also going opposite. So in her back you have the same but kind of going in the opposite. Things that kind of cross, things that kind of cut through. Almost, this is actually like almost the same shape, just flipped.
Yeah.
If you notice, like, so this shape is the same shape as this one, just inverted.
Like multiplied. The
Uh-huh.
one shape.
And it's like, you know, and all of this with characters in particular, because that's what I focus on. I'm just breaking down the basic, you know, shapes of the human form, things that, like, you know, we get to see in like clothing, things that, you know, need to be there in order to be functional, but also try and find like rhythm, repetition, you know, color harmony. All
Yeah.
these things really help with design. When you push that mixed in with, like, you know, researching what it is that you're doing, it makes design a little bit easier. I think also the thing why design can be so tricky is because with design, where are you guys? Okay, with design, you're also dealing with aesthetics and personal aesthetics. So, like, what you think makes a cool shape is totally different from what someone else thinks it's a cool shape, right? And in some ways, that's what makes your voice unique, correct? But at the same time, like, for example, when you're a concept artist, you need to be able to, like, kind of just fine-tune your sensibilities to what it is the project calls for. And that's when research kind of comes in. Like, that's when, like, you know, for example, you're designing a very fashionable character. You're not going to do what you wear and you think is fashionable because, you know, you could be not very fashionable. Or you could be like, oh, I'm fashionable, but I like goth fashions. And suddenly you make a character that's not goth. That's when you go into like Vogue.com, or you research what's going on. You go look at couture websites and you start looking for shapes that are appealing to you, but are are accurate to what the character needs. I think that's what I would say for design.
Yeah, and also it can be a little bit like for the wider spectrum of people. If you design something, it can be quite personal to you, right? Because it's like your own design, and you can sometimes speak and think about what could be, how it could be get from people. You have to also think about if it's looking cool, if it's working, especially if it's functional, accurate, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's all about the shapes you mentioned. It's all about the nice shapes. It can be a little bit personal, but it can be something that works for the people that will take the final product as well, because it needs to work and it needs to look and it needs to make sense, right?
Yes, that's why you always want to start with the basics, right? Like, I wouldn't just jump into, you know, making that character. I wouldn't just jump in and just do tech bits. You know, first I would start with the main parts, like her joint. Her joint needs to move, so I know that I'm going to need a seam here for her rotation of the arm. Like, I have to make sure that there's an indent here. In order to make things move properly. Looking at, for mechs, I look at a lot of armor, because armor has all that mobility done. You know, like,
they make sense. So why not being inspired by them?
Exactly, and it is. It's like a mixture of like cars and like armor. And it's just trying to first think in a very like practical way. Like, okay, I have this animal, 4-legged. All right, so the joints need here. I can't put anything bulgy on the legs because it's going to cut through the insides of their legs. It's thinking that way, and then taking the next step is like finding all those shapes, you know, through research, through, you know, your own experiences, through all of that, and applying them into your painting in a way that just feels cohesive and feels, you know, like the rhythm, you know, color harmony, composition, line, weight, all those things that make an overall painting feel really good. It's the same things that make a design feel good.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of stuff that needs to work and be put together in the right way to create a convincing concept design.
Yeah, that was an awesome answer to that. I think you covered a lot of subjects at the same time. Yeah, that was great. That was great. I think we have one last question to you, which we tend to ask every guest.
Okay, bring it.
There you go. Would you rather be a Godzilla or a billionaire, and why?
Would I rather be Godzilla or a billionaire?
Yes.
Oh my god, I'd rather be Godzilla in a heartbeat. Like, I'd fucking, yeah. Like,
so you want to use your energy to destroy the cities, right?
No, Godzilla didn't destroy. Like, Godzilla fought other monsters.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Like, original Godzilla was like, what the fuck is this shit? You know? And stomped to some shit, but like, oh man, Godzilla. Oh, and I get like a sweet roar, and I get lasers. Like, I think like if I was a billionaire, I'd put all the money to be Godzilla anyway, so I think I'm just gonna skip that step and be straight up Godzilla.
There you go.
Awesome.
Karla, you're a true Godzilla. Like, yeah, that's just totally. It's so much. It's so well. Totally. Okay, Karla, I think that's where we are going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, that was great. Thank you for insights into your past and showing us your early work, and it was great to talk a little bit about your mindset and how you work. So that was really, really valuable, and yeah, I think people appreciated that. Guys, if you are enjoying what we are doing here, please thumb up this video, check out Karla's work, and subscribe to her. Follow her on Facebook, of course.
Yeah, everybody loves you.
Keep up being what you are. It's really amazing.
I love you guys too. You're all so good.
There's so many. The most amount of hearts ever in the comments.
Oh man, I wish I could see them all. Well, you know what, you guys, I'm trying.
Yeah, you're one big heart, that's for sure.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you all for the US people. Thank you for waking up so early, and for all your thank you so much for just being here. Thank you for having me. It was super fun.
Thank you.
I feel like your happiness is just radiating from the screen, and it's just amazing to experience that. So thank you so much for.
Papas are happy. Papas are happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just have fun, guys. It's, you know, we only got one fucking life. Go have fun.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Perfect attitude. We really love it.
See you guys next week then, and yeah, we all love Karla. There you go.
Bye bye.
Yep.
See you.
Bye, guys.
That's the bottom line.
Bye bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
I'm gonna watch Karla dance a bit more.
No,
Okay,
I
gone.
disappeared. I disappeared. Are we done?
Is it still live?
Yeah. No, actually, we're still broadcasting. Sorry.
Ah!